first things first, everybody have one of these? Okay, at the very beginning, the Real Estate Commission asks you to go over certain ground rules. All of them are obvious. You can't sit there and read the newspaper, not that anybody reads a newspaper much anymore. And you have to, basically the rules are you can't interfere with everybody else's learning opportunity. And so one of the things that I like to go over is it says you can't be receiving, talking on a cell phone, receiving pages on a pager, repeating, interrupting, anything that disrupts the course. The one thing I would like to correct in here, or basically modify, is one of the things it talks about is challenging the instructor. This particular instructor likes to be challenged. I had a guy call the other day, and he said, oh yeah, a bunch of stuff you teach is different from other courses I'd had. I said, why'd you bring that up? Oh, so y'all are salespeople, realtors, right? Okay, timid salespeople have skinny children. Right? So we don't need anybody here a theater arts major, anybody here do any local plays, anything of that nature? Oh shucks, I love having those folks in my class. It's really good. Anyway, we'll get started and go through this. Basically, every hour we'll have a 10-minute break. Judy, you met her when you registered. She's my wife. She runs the entire program. And so when she says we have a break, we have a break. It'll be on the hour, roughly. Sometimes if I'm behind, I go a little bit further, but someplace in there. So whenever you start a class, you should start with a quote from a famous person. So how many of y'all know Jill Hughes? Good. This is a great quote. She explained to me, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate. How many of you know a whole lot of very intelligent, very talented people who are not doing well financially? Okay, well, that's the whole reason. Negotiating power is the real trick. Jill happens to be my 14-year-old granddaughter, and you have to have this statement made in an auspicious place. So this was made in my hot tub, not this Christmas, but the previous Christmas. So I figured she's going to be okay. I'm not too worried about that one. One of the other, how many of you feel that you've had a negotiating situation where you were taken advantage of? Where, okay, well, this is to change that. A lot of folks think Eleanor Roosevelt said that someone can't take advantage of you without your permission. In fact, it was dear Abby or her sister. What Eleanor actually said was somebody can't make you feel inferior without your permission. At any rate, at the end of this class, they're not going to be able to take advantage of you. You're going to have more moves than a Swiss clock. We should start with a definition of negotiating. And folks at Harvard have a wonderful negotiating program. A lot of people ask me, thanks for making it. It's really nice to see. A lot of people ask me, what can I read to help me negotiating anything by the Harvard Negotiating Project? You have a hard time going wrong. They've done a tremendous amount, and William Ury is a fabulous author. Now, he has a complicated definition about going back and forth where some of your interests are aligned and some of your interests are different. I translate that to something that's more practical for real estate negotiating. What we do is to get at least two parties to accept something other than what they originally thought they wanted. Because you have people who start out with certain positions, and they end up in a different position, and they accept that. That's what we do in a very simple manner. 7 different elements of negotiating. This is another book by the folks from the Harvard Negotiating Project. This one's written by a psychologist. And you have a whole lot of people who tell you that when you negotiate, eliminate your emotions. That's about as good as telling people that when you negotiate, stop breathing. You're emotional. We're people, we're human. And you're gonna be emotional, so use it. This is a great book on how to use beyond reason emotions when you negotiate. Because most decisions on purchasing a house are emotional. When they sit there before they go in the car, it's very rational. You're looking at the lines on the computer screen, how many square feet, what neighborhood, what's the price, yada, yada, yada. When you get out of the car, it's nothing but does it feel like home. And so use that because that's what you're dealing with. 7 different elements. We're not going to go over all of them. We're going to go over the most important one. And this one, if you remember nothing else from the class, but you get this, your 4 hours have been very worthwhile. The most important concept, back, best alternative to a negotiated agreement. Once again, I translate that to be simpler, your other choice. What is it that you can do as your other alternative, because that determines just how hard you have to try to get this one deal together. What you really need to know is your other choice, and you also need to know the other party's other choice. Because if you're playing poker and you know your hand and you happen to have a really good idea of the other person's hand, then you're going to come out a little better. Let me give you a very simple illustration. This is Rachel. She's 5. At 5, she can now negotiate her dad and her grandpa. That would be me. Okay? Sitting there at a nice table in the breakfast nook, and her dad is trying to convince her to eat a broader range of foods. Rachel is discerning. That's what a grandfather would say when other people would say picky. But very discerning. And so her dad is trying to persuade her to do this and is thinking, okay, well, logical negotiating, we're going to give her a reason why she needs to do this. If you want to grow up to be big, you need to eat this. She sits there in her little chair and thinks, turns to him and says, it's okay if I grow up to be medium. Okay, so what did she do? She just changed her other choice. And her other choice meant she can walk away. She doesn't need this deal. That is the power of your other choice. If you don't need this deal, then you can walk away. If you really do need this deal, if you're representing somebody where the foreclosure notice has been filed, you've already had the hearing, the foreclosure sale is coming up in a short period of time, somebody walks in and says, next week we'll give you this amount for cash, you might be much more motivated than you're sitting there, well, I'm going to retire to the coast. I can do it this year, I can do it next year, I can do it whenever I feel like it, and offer comes along, maybe I take it, maybe I don't. Anyway, that is the most critical concept. Know what your other choice is and know what the other party's other choice is. Different styles of negotiating. And all of the packets have all of these screenshots on them. So that if you're trying to write down the different things in there, you've already got it. The item I like is that makes you more present. So then you can disagree with the instructor, you can ask questions, you can do all sorts of good things like this. So, there are several different styles of negotiating, and a lot of people say, oh, it's got to be win-win. Well, you're not going to always be able to do what is called win-win. I use the phrase collaborative, where you negotiate in a cooperative manner. You find out what's most important to them, they find out what's most important to you, you put it together collaboratively. I've got Keller Williams, part of their mantra is it's win-win or no deal. And that's nice, because that's what you want to do.